the previous videos, we mentioned about the typical structures of a technical writing, where this technical writing normally appears in the forms of journal papers or the thesis or dissertations. Basically, the contents are more or less similar, only that the journal paper is more concise, focusing only on the significant informations due to the limited numbers of pages allowed by typical journals, as compared to the thesis, which you may discuss in a more detailed manner. So far, we have covered the title, abstract, introductions, literature review, as well as the methodology. We shall proceed with the result and analysis. Let us first look at the results. It basically reports the experimental data or whichever data that acquired through a study program, and these data are presented through the figures and tables without any discussions or data interpretations. It basically provides the informations on what you have acquired as the responding variables after completing the investigation program. You may be required to introduce the group of data in tables and figures separately. You will need to choose the best presentation tools for you for the purposes of helping the readers to comprehend what you have acquired from your investigations program. You may need to mention the overall trends and point out the specific interests in order to draw attention of the reader on certain things which you feel is important. And remember that when you are using any tables or figures, the respective tables and figures needs to be mentioned somewhere in the text. The tables and figures cannot be standalone and disconnected from your main text. Normally, you will put your table immediately after the paragraph that have mentioned it. And then you should not just state the existence of the tables and figures in the main text. There should be highlighting of certain important points, accompanied with some discussions, interpretations, and relevant explanations in order to guide the thoughts of the readers. You should not just leave the tables and figures there, expecting the readers will think towards the directions which you would like them to, and this normally doesn't happen. Without proper guiding in terms of the directions of the thoughts, the reader can either go nowhere or go everywhere. This may lead to unnecessary confusions to the readers or cause the readers to have quite a number of inquiries while reading your text, demanding for answers, and when your text is unable to provide answers to the reader, they lose patience, discouraged, not interested, and lose attention in reading your thesis. You will need to also explain the motivations of the result before stating the results. This is to prepare the readers, giving them an initial ideas before you present the results, so that they are aware of what is going to happen next, and that you're going to present some important results which will lead them to some meaningful discussions before you read through the findings. These are the components of results, which you need to present the meta-textual informations, stating the background informations, restating the methodological informations, restating the research questions or hypotheses. The purpose here is to remind the reader regarding the purpose of the results and giving them a clear directions where the discussions is heading after the results are being presented. Especially you are talking about thesis. By the time you are reaching to the chapter 4, which is the results, there is already quite a number of pages. Let's say now near to 100 pages. Throughout those pages, there are so many informations presented in details, so many reviews of the literature, as well as the specifications of the material, testing program, and instrumentations as presented in the chapters of literature review and methodology. There is a need for you to draw back the attentions of the reader towards one or two simple concepts or simple statements, reminding them the significant directions or the significant purpose of the study, in order to keep the readers closely intact with your directions of discussions. Sometimes you need to specify the rationales of these data or results are to be presented in order to gain acceptance of the readers. What is going to come next, aware of the importance of having those results being presented, and spend effort trying to understand it. And then the second component of the result is presenting the findings. You need to direct the reader's attentions to the tables or figures and highlight your findings. There is advantage of using tables and figures, as it is an effective manner to concisely present a lot of informations with extremely high concentrations of informations presented in a table or a figure. The presentations in the mode of table, it will be more towards the numbers or some simple terminologies or text, as concise as possible. And when you present in the figures, it provides graphical presentations on something which is quite challenging or difficult to describe in details. This advantage of the tables and figures at the same time is also disadvantage, especially when you are presenting so many informations within one table or one figure. It is sometimes quite challenging for you to ensure the attentions of the reader will fall in the directions which you intend them to be. Therefore, it is necessary for you to mention and discuss within the text, draw their attentions towards some observations, specifically towards some numbers or some processes or informations presented in the figures, and then you are to highlight the findings. That is the reason that the tables and figures normally cannot stand alone. You will need the text to guide the thinkings of the readers. And you know that you cannot just simply omit the tables and figures, replacing it with a long text to explain heads and tails, as you know that the limitations of the text carrying the amount of informations with the concentrations not up to the level of tables and figures. There is a saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Imagine you need to explain everything from heads to tail from the figure. You will find your text extremely lengthy, and this can easily bring the readers off the main themes of the discussions. Therefore, the tables and figures carry functions to complement the text. It cannot totally replace the text, and it cannot be totally removed, especially when you are presenting the results. These are several questions to focus in presenting your results. You can use those to ask yourself while you trying to present the results. For example, what do my results say? What do these results mean in their context? Who needs to know about these results? And why do they need to know? The message behind these questions are: you will need to provide a brief summary of the main points. You will need to draw conclusions from the results. You need to know your targeted audience. And you will need to know its contributions to the field. Some may say that presenting a result is an art. Different persons may present the results in different ways. The differences it will be how effective the results are presented. Therefore, when you want to present your result, always ask yourself about the purpose. Your purpose is for the readers to easily comprehend, to provide evidence that you have done the respective study, going through the investigation program, and presenting the outcome of those investigations programs. And then this result being presented, it will be the fundamentals and the references for the following interpretations, discussions, findings, and conclusions. It will be the focus of the discussions, and when it is needed, it can be used to prove or justify your findings. Therefore, you will need to present the result as effectively as possible, as simplified as possible, so that it is easy for the reader and also for you to retrieve the necessary informations from the summaries of the results for the later use during the interpretations, discussions, findings, and conclusions. You will need to always ask yourself what kind of tools that is most suitable for you to effectively present the result without compromising the quality of informations. And then second thing that you would like to ask, what do the results say? What kind of main points that you can acquire from those results? And how does it meaningful to your research study? Why is it important to the readers? Or why is it important to the research study, which the readers cannot simply ignore that? Knowing the purposes behind presenting the results, it is up to you how you're going to present those results. There will be quite a variety of ways to present that, as long as it is effectively presented, easily retrieved in the later stage, providing sufficient information to the reader, and you are able to draw attention and guide the directions of thinking of the readers.